We'll put him right here. As we begin our panel, we were scheduled to have from Secretary of Education, Arne Duncan. As fate would have it, and I've been in that predicament many times, he got on the shuttle, and weather kept the shuttle on the tarmac. And we were in the black church in our William Augustus Jones Jr. luncheon, and staff couldn't get to me, but when they did, I went out and moved the clouds back, and he got here. Sorry for the delay. I didn't know you were stuck. So I told him that providentially that he would address the beginning of our ministers' panel, because nothing is more important to what they're going to talk about in terms of the future of the church and the role than education. The assault on public education and the assault on those that labor in that field, those that are calling for us to opt out of tests without talking to us, that will cost us federal funds. But then those that don't want an evaluation and an estimation on how effective our kids are being taught. Somebody needs to explain to us how we go to the same schools in the same cities and black kids reading at one level and others at another level, and nobody wants to examine why. And on one side, they're saying let's have no evaluation. On the other side, the education reformers say let us do it, which makes us wonder, are you in business or are you in education? The church needs to hold all sides accountable. Civil rights groups need to hold all sides accountable. There should be no opting out, and there should be no education reform without us being involved. We cannot be, you know that there's a movie, and I'm bringing up the secretary. There was a movie I saw. I don't watch much television. I happened to be in one night, and I was surfing, and there was this movie on BET called Book of Negroes. And one of the things that I noticed is how even Dr. Kendricks, the abolitionist that was fighting to end slavery, Dr. Hendricks, they didn't want the slaves to speak for themselves. So you had the slave masters that thought we were property, and the abolitionists that thought we were props. We cannot be props in our own emancipation. If you're going to have an education reform movement, we got to be in it to know if it's reform. If you're going to deal with saving publication, we got to be in it because we're the majority of those that use public education. One of the commitments of this president from day one has been passionate about education, changing it, but saving it. First meeting in May of 2009 in the Oval Office, he had Education Secretary Duncan, Newt Gingrich on the right, and me, and challenged us to go through 5 cities together looking at this problem. And Newt Gingrich and I went with Arne Duncan on the road. We didn't agree on anything, including the city that we were in. But we agreed that the dysfunction of American public education is real. I've known Arne Duncan since he headed the school system in Chicago. He has been the one and only Secretary of Education under President Barack Obama. And he has never missed a National Action Network convention. And I'd like to bring him forth at this time to address us, the Honorable Secretary of Education for the United States, Arne Duncan.
Thank you so much, Reverend. My streak almost ended today. I thought they were going to turn that plane around, but I'm thrilled to be here. I'll be relatively brief. I hate to stand before a conversation with ministers because that's so important, so I'll try and condense my remarks, but really appreciate the opportunity. I say everywhere I go that education is the civil rights issue of our generation, and that if you can ride in the front of the bus, if you can drink at the same water fountain, but you can't read, if you don't have an opportunity to pursue your dreams, you're not truly free yet. And so this fight that we're all engaged in is a fight, yes, for education, but it's a fight for social justice. It's a fight for opportunity. It's a chance to try and bridge the divide. And everyone here may not agree with me, but I honestly think that the divide in our nation today is less around race and class than it is around education opportunity. And give me the poorest child from the toughest neighborhood in a tough family, put them in a great early childhood education program, put them in a wonderful elementary and middle school, put them in a high school where they can take AP classes and take some college classes, and that young person is going to do just fine. Feel very, very confident about them. That same child, deny them opportunity to early childhood education, put them in an elementary and middle school with low expectations, put them in a high school that's a high school dropout factory, and they have very little chance in life. Without an education today, you are basically condemned to poverty and social failure. There are no good jobs out there in the legal economy. So this fight today is, yes, about education, but it's about so much more than that. I'll quickly walk you through where we are today, positives, the negatives, and where we need to go. The good news that I'm really pleased to report is that our high school graduation rates for the nation are at all-time highs, records of 81%. And what I love is that everyone's graduation rates are up. White graduation rates are up. Black graduation rates are up. Latino graduation rates are up. Children who live in poverty, their graduation rates are up. Native American are up. Children with disabilities, English language learners. So thanks to all of your hard work and your commitment, what our teachers and principals are doing, and very importantly, what our students themselves are doing, we are absolutely going in the right direction. But having said that, we have a long, long way to go. We're near where we need to be. I keep saying the best investment we can make as a nation is in high-quality early childhood education. We have far too many children everywhere I travel, every state, where there are massive waiting lists. That opportunity isn't there. This mayor here in New York has done a fantastic job of creating more opportunity. That's a huge step in the right direction. But we have thousands and thousands of kids who every year start kindergarten a year to 16 months behind because they were denied that chance. It is not fair to them. It's not fair to their parents. It's not fair to their teachers. It's not fair to their peers. So we have to do a better job there. We still have, and sometimes people don't like when I talk about this, we still have in some places a school-to-prison pipeline. Far too often, we suspend and expel, who do we think? Our young boys of color. And so if we're not honest as educators and challenging people to change their discipline policies and figure out how if a child needs help, how we help them in school, not put them out onto the street, then we're part of the problem. So we have to improve there. We have far too many places where schools are funded inequitably, where the children of the poor who need the most get the least, and the children of the wealthy who have the most already get the most. Education has to be the great equalizer. It can't exacerbate the divide between the haves and the have-nots. It's got to shrink that divide. And in too many places, we talk about these things, we don't act upon them. In far too many high schools around the nation, our children of color don't have access to college prep STEM classes in math and science. We know how important those things are, and we just simply as a nation fail to provide them. And about 20% of our nation's high schools do not have a counselor in them. So when our children struggle, when they want to apply to college from their first generation, they don't have the opportunities they need. So we should celebrate the progress, we should celebrate the momentum, we should congratulate our students for working so hard, we should thank our teachers and principals and educators every single day, but this is not mission accomplished. This is not resting on our laurels. I don't have to tell this audience that. We have to keep getting better faster. What we have now in Washington is an opportunity to fix the broken No Child Left Behind law and hopefully do it in a bipartisan way. That law was written 50 years ago yesterday. It is inextricably linked to the civil rights movement. And three things have to happen in that law. We have to put politics and ideology to the side. First, it has to focus on equity. We need more money for disadvantaged children and disadvantaged schools. We need more access to high-quality early learning opportunities. It has to focus on excellence, high standards for every single child. When we dummy down standards, politicians look good, but we destroy kids. We take away the opportunity to be successful. People have to demand a high bar. We need to assess, as Reverend talked about, our students annually. We need to know who's making progress and who's not. And where we're closing gaps, let's celebrate them. Where those gaps aren't shrinking, when they're widening, we have to challenge that status quo every single day. So we have to focus on equity, we have to focus on excellence, and we have to focus on innovation. I say for all the challenges we have in education, be it inner city New York, or my home of Chicago, or in rural communities, or Native American reservations, for every challenge we have, great teachers and great principals are solving it somewhere today, where they are routinely helping students beat the odds. What we don't do enough in education is scale up what works and invest in those great ideas at the local level. When a fantastic doctor finds a cure for a disease or a cure for cancer, we don't hoard that knowledge. We don't keep it just for a few. We try and disseminate that and get that to everybody as fast as we can. And we have to have that mentality in education. So as you think about where Congress is going over the next couple months, think about equity, think about excellence and high expectations, think about innovation, challenge politicians from both sides of the aisle to put politics and ideology to the side and just fight for our kids. So we have a chance going back 50 years to fix the law that today is broken and outdated, but its roots are so strong. We need to sort of bring it back to where it came from. Our children deserve the opportunity to have success. They deserve the opportunity to have high expectations. They deserve the opportunity to go to early childhood education programs. They deserve to go to great high schools that prepare them for college. And if we do that, talking mostly to adults here, our kids will always meet us more than halfway. I've seen all my life with kids from poor neighborhoods and tough families and tough circumstances where we give them a chance they can be wildly successful. We have to work together, educators, ministers, parents, community leaders, fantastic civil rights leaders like Reverend Sharpton. We have to work together to give every child a chance for a great life. This can't be a possibility, it's got to be a promise. It's got to be an educational right, it's got to be a civil right. With your guys' help, with your support, we can get there. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.